Rock bottom is not the end. It's the brutal, liberating beginning. It's the moment when everything you've leaned on collapses, when illusions vanish, and you're forced to confront reality without filters. It feels like death of dreams, of identity, of hope. But hidden beneath the wreckage is the rarest form of opportunity, a clean slate. When you hit rock bottom, you're stripped of ego, of expectation, of all the false comforts that kept you stagnant. And in that emptiness, you're finally free. Free from the pressure to maintain an image. Free from the noise of what others think. Free from the past that once controlled you. Nothing humbles like failure, and nothing empowers like starting from zero with your eyes wide open. This is the point where you stop surviving and start choosing. Because when there's nothing left to lose, you begin to understand what's truly worth fighting for. You're no longer motivated by fear or comfort. You're driven by clarity, raw necessity, and an inner fire that only complete collapse can ignite. At rock bottom, every move you make is intentional, every step deliberate, because you've learned the cost of drifting. It forces you to take ownership, not just of your failures, but of your future. You stop blaming, stop waiting, and start building with what you've got, however little that might be. And that's where the magic is. Rock bottom erases the noise and hands you the pen to write your own rules. You can pivot completely, take risks you never would have dared before, and pursue the things that actually matter, not to impress, but to fulfill. It's not easy. It's messy, terrifying, and often lonely. But clarity is born in the wreckage, and resilience is forged in fire. When everything is gone, you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? You begin again, not from weakness, but from the deepest strength you've ever had, the will to rebuild yourself from your own ashes. This is where you decide who you're going to become. This is where domination begins, not over others, but over your own story. You're not ruined, you're being reborn. Your life is not defined by what happened to you. It's defined by the story you choose to tell yourself about it, and that story can be rewritten at any time. Rewrite your narrative means taking control of the inner dialogue that has been quietly shaping your beliefs, behaviors, and self-worth for years. Most people don't realize they're living according to a script they didn't write, one built from childhood wounds, past failures, toxic relationships, or society's expectations. But just because a story has been told doesn't mean it's true or final. The moment you decide to become the author instead of the victim, everything changes. You stop seeing your past as a chain and start seeing it as a chapter, something that shaped you but no longer owns you. Maybe you were abandoned, betrayed, humiliated, or overlooked. Maybe you made mistakes that haunt you. Those facts don't change, but the meaning you assign to them can. Instead of seeing yourself as broken, you start seeing yourself as battle-tested. Instead of calling yourself a failure, you start calling yourself a fighter. This shift isn't just mental, it's transformational. Because the story you believe dictates how you show up in the world. If you see yourself as weak, you'll act small. If you see yourself as cursed, you'll sabotage every opportunity. But if you start telling a new story, one where you rise, where you learn, where you overcome, your actions will begin to match that new truth. It doesn't require external validation. It begins with a decision to challenge the lies you've internalized and replace them with a narrative built on resilience, growth, and purpose. This doesn't mean pretending bad things didn't happen. It means refusing to let them define you. You're not your trauma. You're not your lowest moment. You're not what they did to you. You are what you choose to become despite it. And once you embrace that, you become dangerous in the best way possible. Because people who've taken back their story don't break easily. They don't fold when life pushes back. They've already walked through fire and rewritten the ending. Rewriting your narrative isn't delusion, it's power. It's saying, yes, that happened. But here's what it made me. Here's what I'm doing with it. Here's where I'm going now. It's rewriting, I'm not good enough, to I'm just getting started. It's turning, I'm broken, into I've survived worse than this. The beauty of being human is that we are not fixed in stone. We evolve. And that evolution begins when you stop accepting the script handed to you and start crafting the one that aligns with who you actually want to be. Your story doesn't end with pain. It begins with purpose. You just have to pick up the pen and decide that this time you're writing it on your terms. Burning the old blueprint means setting fire to every outdated belief, broken pattern, limiting habit, and inherited expectation that no longer serves who you're becoming. It's the radical, often uncomfortable decision to stop living a life that was designed for a version of you that no longer exists. Most people follow a script handed down to them by parents, culture, education, or society that tells them how to think, who to be, what to chase, and what success looks like. They don't question it until life falls apart, or they wake up one day wondering why they feel so empty despite doing everything right. That's when the real work begins. Burning the old blueprint is not about tweaking small things. It's about destruction with intention. It's about realizing that the rules you've been living by might be the very thing keeping you trapped. Maybe you were taught to play it safe, to seek approval, to chase stability at the cost of joy. Maybe you learned to suppress your voice, your ambition, or your truth just to survive. Maybe you were living a version of life designed to please others, to avoid judgment, or to fit into a mold that was never built for you. But once you become aware of that blueprint, you have a choice. Stay stuck in a structure that suffocates you, or burn it down and rebuild from the ground up. And yes, it's terrifying. It means saying goodbye to false identities, letting go of relationships that were built on the old version of you, and stepping into unknown territory without a map. It means sitting in the ashes of everything you thought you needed, only to discover what truly matters. It means no longer measuring your worth by outdated standards, status, approval, perfection, and instead defining success on your own terms. This is the path of reinvention. And it's not for the faint of heart. You'll grieve the comfort of the familiar, even if it was killing you. You'll face resistance from others and from within. But there is nothing more powerful than a person who has torched their illusions and chosen to build again with clarity, intention, and truth. When you burn the old blueprint, you take your life off autopilot and grab the wheel with both hands. You stop repeating inherited cycles and start creating original impact. You choose alignment over acceptance, courage over comfort, purpose over pressure. And piece by piece, you begin drafting a new blueprint, not one that tells you who to be, but one that reflects who you really are. It's a design shaped by your values, your voice, your vision. It honors your pain, but it doesn't let your pain define you. It challenges you to evolve, not conform. And it gives you the freedom to create a life that feels like yours, not one borrowed, copied, or forced. So if your life feels wrong, misaligned, or heavy, maybe it's not because you failed, but because you're still following a script that was never meant for you. And maybe the most courageous, necessary thing you can do right now is light that script on fire, stand in the smoke, and say, I'm building something new. Burn the old blueprint, not to escape your past, but to reclaim your future. Discipline over motivation is the principle that separates those who wish for change from those who create it. Because motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and emotionally driven, while discipline is steady, structured, and forged through deliberate action. Motivation is a burst. It's what gets you started, makes you feel good, floods you with inspiration after a powerful video or a painful setback, but it doesn't last. It fades the moment things get hard, boring, or inconvenient. Discipline, on the other hand, is what keeps you going when motivation disappears, when no one's watching, when progress is invisible, and when quitting would be so much easier. Discipline is the decision to act according to your goals, not your feelings. It's waking up early when your bed is warm, training when you're tired, studying when you're uninspired, and showing up even when there's no applause. It's not sexy, not glamorous, and rarely feels exciting. But it's the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck. You don't need to feel like it. You need to do it anyway. That's where real growth happens. Discipline turns dreams into routines and routines into results. It rewires your identity, not just what you want to be, but what you prove to yourself you are. Every time you do the hard thing when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for the future version of yourself. And over time, those votes stack up into transformation. You start to trust yourself. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You realize that consistency, not intensity, builds greatness. People wait around for motivation like it's some magical spark that'll carry them through. But the truth is, the most successful, fulfilled, and focused people rarely rely on it. They've built systems, they've created structure. They have routines that serve them on autopilot. They understand that motivation is a guest, but discipline is the foundation. If you only act when you're motivated, you'll be inconsistent, emotional, and easily derailed. But when you build discipline, you take control of your momentum. You make progress whether it's raining or sunny, whether you're inspired or empty. And ironically, discipline often creates motivation. When you show up and do the work, you start to feel proud. You see results. That builds confidence, which fuels more action, which reignites motivation, not as a starting point, but as a byproduct of your effort. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about freedom. It's the freedom to move forward no matter the circumstance. The freedom to rely on action instead of mood. The freedom to know that even on your worst days, you can still win because you've trained your mind and your habits to push through. Motivation whispers, discipline commands. And when your life is falling apart, when everything feels impossible, discipline is the anchor you hold on to. It's what gets you through grief, through failure, through rebuilding from rock bottom. It's the quiet force that says, I may not feel strong today, but I will act strong anyway. That's real power. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the spark. Build discipline. Be consistent. Set systems, follow through, and let action lead your emotion. The people who dominate life are not always the most gifted or passionate. They're the most disciplined. They don't hope for change. They commit to it every single day. Silence the noises is about taking back control of your mind in a world designed to distract, manipulate, and drown you in voices that aren't your own. Every day you're bombarded by opinions, criticism, expectations, social media highlights, toxic comparisons, outdated beliefs, and the constant pressure to prove yourself to people who don't even know you. That noise seeps into your head until you can't hear your own thoughts, your own truth, or your own direction. It clouds your judgment, hijacks your focus, and feeds your doubt. You start chasing what looks good instead of what feels right. You start living to impress instead of living with intention. You forget why you started. You forget who you are. And that's when your power begins to slip. But here's the truth. Clarity doesn't come from adding more. It comes from subtracting the noise. It comes from stepping back, unplugging, and tuning into the one voice that matters yours. Silencing the noise means cutting out toxic people who drain your energy or project their own fears onto your dreams. It means limiting exposure to social media feeds that constantly make you feel behind, unworthy, or not enough. It means challenging every belief you've inherited from family, culture, or society that tells you to play small, stay safe, or settle. It means creating space in your day to be alone with your thoughts, not scrolling, not reacting, not numbing, but just listening to what your gut has been trying to tell you all along. Because deep down, you know what you need. You know what feels aligned and what doesn't. You know which path is calling you. But you've been too busy drowning in noise to hear it. Silencing the noise requires courage. It means being okay with disappointing others in order to stay true to yourself. It means learning to be still in a culture addicted to chaos. It means letting go of your need for approval, applause, and validation, because you will never dominate your life while living under the influence of everyone else's opinions. Greatness requires solitude, focus, inner alignment, and that starts with eliminating what doesn't serve your mission. The noise will always be there. It's not about escaping it completely. It's about filtering it, mastering it, and refusing to let it control your direction. Create boundaries like your future depends on it, because it does. Guard your time, your energy, and your attention like gold. Build a routine that centers you every morning before the world gets a chance to distract you. Journal, meditate, walk in silence, whatever it takes to reconnect with you. Because when your mind is quiet, your vision becomes clear. And when your vision is clear, your steps become powerful. The world wants you reactive, scattered, insecure, because distracted people are easy to control, but focused people, clear-minded people, people who know their own voice, they are unstoppable, they are unshakable. They don't chase, they attract, they don't follow, they lead. So if you want to rise, if you want to rebuild, if you want to dominate after everything has fallen apart, start by silencing the noise. Turn down the world so you can turn up your truth. Block out the chaos so you can move with clarity. Cut the volume on opinions and amplify your own conviction. Because when the noise fades, what's left is your power. And that's where everything begins. Dominate with purpose means stepping into your power not just to win, but to matter. To build a life that's not just impressive on the outside, but deeply fulfilling on the inside. It's easy to chase success, money, validation, or status without ever asking why, without ever questioning whether what you're pursuing actually aligns with who you are and what you stand for. But domination without purpose is empty. It's noise dressed as achievement. Real power doesn't come from just grinding harder. It comes from knowing why you're grinding in the first place. When you dominate with purpose, you stop living reactively and start leading intentionally. You wake up with fire not because you have to, but because you want to. Because you're pulled forward by something bigger than fear, bigger than ego, bigger than yourself. Purpose is the anchor. It keeps you grounded when storms hit. It keeps you hungry when comfort tempts. It keeps you focused when distractions scream. Without purpose, you're just spinning, looking busy, chasing trends, hustling for approval. But with purpose, every action becomes a step in alignment. You're no longer chasing everything, you're building something. Purpose gives you clarity. It tells you what to say yes to, what to walk away from, what to fight for. And domination isn't about stepping on others. It's about stepping fully into the role you were built to play. It's about becoming so clear on who you are and what you're here to do that doubt has no room to survive. It's knowing that your struggle wasn't random. It was preparing you. It was shaping the exact fire you needed to light your path forward. And now you use it. You dominate with it. You lead not with fear, but with vision. Purpose turns pain into fuel, failure into wisdom, and obstacles into stepping stones. When you dominate with purpose, you stop being driven by survival and start being guided by mission. You stop measuring success by comparison and start measuring it by alignment. Does this move me closer to the life I'm meant to live? Does this choice reflect who I truly want to be? Purpose is what separates noise from impact. It's what allows you to say no to things that look good but feel wrong. It's what gives you stamina when the journey stretches longer than expected. Without it, you'll burn out. With it, you'll rise again and again. And don't get it twisted, dominating with purpose doesn't mean playing small, being soft, or waiting for permission. It means showing up with intensity, but directing that intensity with precision. It means channeling your fire towards something meaningful. Not just achievement, but significance. You're not here to live on autopilot. You're here to build. You're here to lead. You're here to leave something behind that actually matters. That's what domination looks like when it's fueled by purpose. Not loud, not desperate, but deep, focused, and unstoppable. So if your life fell apart, if you hit rock bottom, if everything you knew is gone, good. Now's the time to rebuild with intention. Don't just climb back up to where you were. Aim higher. Go deeper. Ask yourself what it's all for, and then let that answer drive everything. Dominate not just to prove them wrong. Dominate because you've finally remembered what you're here to do, and this time, you're doing it on purpose. When life falls apart, it doesn't mean it's over. It means the old version of you has served its time. This is your rebirth. Your pain wasn't a punishment, it was a preparation. You've been stripped down not to be destroyed, but to be rebuilt, stronger, sharper, clearer. Now is not the time to retreat. Now is the time to dominate, with purpose, with clarity, and with ruthless self-discipline. Take the wreckage of what was and build what will be. Own your story, rewrite your narrative, and stop asking for permission to rise. Burn the old blueprint. Silence every voice that doesn't echo your truth, and show up for yourself daily, especially when it's hard. Motivation will fade, but discipline will carry you. Clarity will ground you. Purpose will pull you. Do not let the world define you by your worst moments. Let it be shocked by your comeback. Let your scars become symbols of survival, not shame. And remember, you don't have to know the whole path. Just take the next right step with full conviction. Protect your energy. Guard your focus. Commit to becoming so unshakably you that nothing and no one can knock you off course again. You were not buried. You were planted. Now grow, intentionally, powerfully, and relentlessly. God, in this moment of rebuilding, I surrender the ashes of what was and ask for the strength to rise into what can be. Give me clarity where there is confusion, discipline where there is fatigue, and courage where fear tries to linger. Help me silence the noise of the world and listen to your voice within me, the one that calls me higher. Let me not be defined by my past, but refined by it. Shape my pain into purpose, my setbacks into strength, and my wounds into wisdom. Surround me with peace as I take bold steps forward. Remind me daily that I am not here to merely survive, but to live boldly, love deeply, and lead fearlessly. I'm ready now, not just to heal, but to dominate, with grace, with fire, and with you by my side. Amen.